Are you being underpaid? Or at least, do you feel like you're underpaid? Do you even know if you're being underpaid? Welcome to another episode of Mi Camino, where I share some of the lessons I've learned the hard way so you don't have to. And the lesson I want to talk about today is knowing our worth. This morning, I had a deep conversation with a good friend of mine. He was being offered a manager role, and he asked me, how much should I ask for? Or what do you think I should ask for? Now, I didn't have an exact number to give him. And I feel like when he texted me, I said, like, Google it. I felt like he took it like I was blowing him off. And then I reached out. I'm like, no. What I meant is like, research it. Go on salary.com, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, type in your job title, the years of experience, and the area you're working with, and find out your worth. So after a little bit of research, we found that $70,000 was the going rate for that position he was being offered. And I said, that sounds good to me. What about you? I could tell by his tone, he wasn't fully convinced. He sounded like he thought maybe the number was too high. I asked him, so what do you feel your value is? He kind of just stayed quiet, and I was like, okay, let me tell you the story of how I learned the price of not knowing mine. Back in the day when I was working at the wind turbines, as a technician, I was making really good money. At least I felt I was. But the company started going through a transition. Kind of reminds me of what we're doing today. And I can definitely see how our country's now being run as a company because they were cleaning house and we were hiring a bunch of new people. Well, one of these new hires, we were kind of putting up with him, right? He wasn't the greatest technician. He didn't like to climb. And we found out he was scared of heights in a job that you're supposed to climb these 200-foot tall turbines every day to do repairs. But we didn't mind it. We didn't care. New guy, he'll catch up. But one day, this new guy left his computer, his workstation open. We had a few workstations where we had to go in, put in our time cards, look at our pay, look at our benefits and all that, and actually also do training when it was time to do training. But this guy leaves it open, and one of our nosier technicians sees it and starts kind of digging through. And all we hear is like, what the? And we're like, what? And he starts going off, this mofo is making X amount of dollars. He was making 30% more than our best technician was making. And we were all standing there like, wait, how? Like, how is this guy making way more than all of us with experience? The technician that found it, being how he was, straight up goes up to him and is like, hey, fool, is this really the amount you're making? Guy comes up to the desktop nonchalantly and says, yup. And just clicks the mouse and turns it off. He's like, and the other technician's like, staring like, what? Like, how can you live with yourself knowing that you make that much money? And this other technician just looks at him and is like, it's not my fault you didn't know how to negotiate your salary. As much as part of me was like, this shit ain't fair, the other part was true too. This guy knew how to sell himself. So let me break down what I learned since then and how you make sure you don't leave money on the table. Number one, do your research. Use websites like salary.com, Glassdoor, and LinkedIn to see the salary highlights. Look up your job title, region, and experience level. Find the low, average, and high end of the salary range. This gives you a number to work with. Most people just guess, or worse, they wait until the company tell them what they think they're worth. Don't do that. Don't wait for that. Number two, know what you bring to the table. Write down your skills, your certification, your results, your experience. And don't forget your soft skills like leadership, bilingual fluency, and even being great under pressure. And use real numbers if you can. I've led X amount of people in the past. I saved the company X amount of dollars with one of my ideas. I've helped increase revenue by 20%. Stuff like that. Another trick that people have advantage with right now, but I don't see a lot of people doing is if you are confused on what your skills actually are, just start typing in ChatGPT everything you do at work, everything you take care of, like from day to end, and it'll help organize your thoughts and put it like in a, it'll help you package what you actually do in a way that even you will be amazed on all the things you know how to do. Number three, practice your ask. You need to rehearse what you'll say when they ask you, what are your salary expectations? Say it with confidence and without apology. Not like you're guessing or hoping, but like you've done your homework and know your worth. And if that number makes you a little nervous, good. That means you're starting to stretch into your true value. Number four, know your walkaway point. What's the number you won't go below? If they offer less, can you walk away? It's better to respectfully decline a lowball offer than to say yes and then carry resentment into the job. Now look, I know this part is hard, especially to people like us, first generation Latinos, raised to be humble, taught to say thank you, taught not to ask for too much. But that mindset, it doesn't belong in negotiation rooms. You can be grateful and still demand what you're worth. You can be humble and still know your value. Because if you don't, someone else will come with less talent and more confidence and they'll pay them more. I like to share another little story. As a manager, I hired a lot of people. And there was a time where I hired a few people. And I remember I had these two employees that came from the same school, had the same certifications, and applied for the same positions. They both got hired. But one of them got hired for a lot more than the other. And I remember this. I think what I was allowed to hire the other person for was I think it was like 23. And the other one, I was only allowed to, I think, 1950. I just remember it's a big gap. Once they started working, the one with less pay is the one that was producing the most results. While the other one, we were struggling to get going and to make a good teammate. The problem was the one that was getting paid more went ahead and shared how much he was getting paid. So obviously my other employee came to my office very, very disgruntled. And he asked me to explain how the other employee was making way more money, but not producing results, and he was being paid less. Basically, he was demanding a raise. Now, if it was up to me, I'm pretty sure I would have been able to give it to him. But back in the day, I worked for a company and there was politics involved. And I explained to him that because he had agreed to that original amount, the company only allowed me to increase his pay 3% a year at max. And even doing that, I couldn't get him where he was at. And believe me, I tried. But one thing was true. The other employee just sold himself better. When he came to the interview, he came with a folder with all the certifications he received at the school, while the other employee just came in and nonchalantly went through the interview and accepted that first offer we offered him at 1950. So his lack of preparedness is the reason why he wasn't getting enough money. Was the reason why he felt underpaid. Years later, not just because I felt bad or that he was underpaid, but because he earned it, he was able to gain the salary that he deserved. But he learned his lesson. When he went for that other promotion, he came prepared. So the next time you see that box or you get asked, what's your desired salary? Don't freeze, don't guess, and don't play small. That's how you get to stop getting underpaid. Do your research, know your worth, and speak with confidence. Thanks a lot for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like. If you want to see more related content, make sure to subscribe and make sure to share it with your friends. Thanks a lot for watching. See you on the next one.